and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Litty, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. And we have an energetic, fabulous show today. We're going to be talking to Mikayla, you pronounce it. Guerrier. And she is with Florida Rural Legal Services, which we are going to find out all about everything today. And it's such an important topic because I think the community, the public needs to know what gem we have in our own backyard. So without further ado, welcome, Mikayla.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
No, I know you are. This is going to be great. Yeah. Let's start, however, with you.
Sure.
I understand from talking to you before the show started rolling that your major was health?
Yes, ma'am. Public health.
Public health, and you're doing something totally different, which we'll get to. But where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised here in Palm Beach County.
Okay.
I am the product of 2 Haitian immigrants. And just like many people who come from different areas and different backgrounds, they came for opportunity.
Right.
So I learned very early on I did not want to squander their efforts.
Right.
So I pursued education. I got my master's in public health from Florida International University.
Right.
Out in 2022. And I just really enjoy public health. And it's really helped me, transition from that area to legal services. I didn't think it would.
Well, now,
but
you're going to have to explain that to us.
Sure. Yes.
No. So how did you have a job in the background that you had sought before you worked for Florida Rural Legal Services, or no?
No, not necessarily. So my concentration was maternal and child health. So I absolutely love anything that has to do with mothers and babies and making sure that they have safe and healthy pregnancies.
Right.
But I felt like it was time for me to venture into a different area. And I've always loved community health.
Right.
So ensuring that groups of people are healthy and they take care of themselves. And I truly stumbled across the opportunities. So I'm a believer in God. So I prayed over it and I said, you know what? I think this would be a good opportunity for me to explore a different field.
Right.
And I haven't regretted it since. So.
Well, now you work out of the West Palm Beach, Florida Rural. Okay.
Yes.
But Florida Rural Legal Services obviously has an office on the Treasure Coast.
Yes.
And I know they have one in St. Lucie County. Do they have one in Indian River, Martin, or Okeechobee, or?
Yes, so we have 6 offices throughout our organization.
In the 19th Circuit. Oh, wow.
Well, not just in the 19th Circuit, but we have 6 in total.
Okay.
So we have our main office in Lakeland, Florida. Then we have Fort Pierce, Fort Myers, Immokalee, Belglade, and West Palm.
Okay.
So I believe that's all 6.
But Fort Pierce services, if you will, Martin, Indian River, and Oka. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. So if someone watches this and lives in Vero, they can come too. Okay. So let's start with the very basics. As I told you, you're going to be looking at me saying, Diamond, you should know the answer to that. But I do. But please explain, what is Florida Rural Legal Services? I think, just a precursor. People know, most of the people who watch the show know that the Public Defender's Office, deals solely with criminal, cases.
Yeah.
And that's all we do. We don't do any civil, landlord, tenant, divorce, anything like that. But you are the beautiful other side of that. So please tell us.
Yes, ma'am. So everything you mentioned, that's where we step in.
Right.
So essentially, we are a nonprofit civil law firm that focuses on providing free legal services to individuals in our community. Depending on our region or our service area, that's where we focus on.
Right.
Each office, they do have initiatives that they do focus on, but in total, we focus on civil law.
Right.
So that includes, education, housing, public benefits, family law, and so much more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that.
Sure.
Let's back up a moment. On the criminal arena, if you are indigent, and I assume you have to be indigent to use your services, or no?
So we focus mainly on low-income individuals.
Right.
So that's usually where our focus is.
Okay.
We use the federal poverty guideline.
Right, to qualify?
To qualify,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Well, okay, so backing up, to receive the services of the Public Defender's Office, you have to fill out what's called a financial affidavit, listing your assets and liabilities, et cetera, income. And then the clerk's office reviews it to determine whether or not you qualify for our services. How does it work on your end?
Yeah, so the first thing anyone will do if they're interested is do an intake with our intake personnel.
Okay.
So from there, they'll be the ones to really ask them, not necessarily the difficult questions, but the questions that they need answered in terms of income or what their situation is.
Okay.
So depending on their legal situation or their questions, we're able to help them from there.
Okay.
So, it all starts with an intake.
Right.
That's for sure.
Now, so you do turn people away if their income is too high or whatever, correct?
It happens on occasion. However, the good thing about us is we have grants, which is great. So when I go out in the community, I always tell them, please don't let your income deter you completely, because if we do have a grant where they'll fall under, then we can still provide them services.
Okay.
But on occasion, it does happen.
Okay. Again, I remember the first time I had FRLS on the show, I was sitting there with my mouth open because as they went through the things and the services provided, I was just, bowled over with everything you all do. I don't know how you do it. But let's start with the things that probably are more... let's back up a minute. What is the biggest arena or area that, if you know, that you deal with? Is it landlord-tenant? Is it marital? What is?
Yeah. So every region, I'm sure they have their own their own focus, or the focus that requires a lot more attention in their community.
Right.
So I can speak for the West Palm area. We've been seeing a lot of housing clients come in.
Okay.
So a lot of landlord-tenant evictions, unsafe housing situations. Maybe the landlord hasn't fixed something, or there's an infestation they're not taking care of, things like that. But I would say housing is definitely one of them. And then as of late, public benefits, for sure. So we're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, a lot of denials. So we work in the area of denials. Once someone's been denied of disability, Social Security, or food stamps, anything in that area, then they come to us.
Wow.
So we've been seeing a lot of that, especially when the government shut down temporarily. We received a lot of calls.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
And we're still receiving those calls. So yeah, I would say housing and public benefits for sure.
Okay. Now, so if a person needs your services, they call, they go through intake. If they qualify, then what happens next?
Yes. So if they do qualify, that's when they get matched with a lawyer or an attorney.
Right.
That attorney will take on their case, depending if it's I would say full representation, or even if it's just counsel and advice.
Right.
They will be assigned an attorney, and also a paralegal will be helping the attorney with their case. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And then the attorney follows it through to the end.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. We've had several attorneys go to court, and they just support where they can.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we need to flesh this out because I know there's so much more. But where do you come in, Mikayla? Because you're not a lawyer.
I am not a lawyer.
Okay.
And I am very intentional when I go out in the community. That is one of the first things I say. However,
well, that helps you too,
it
doesn't
does.
it? Yeah, so they're not swarming around you after you present.
They will, and
right.
they will ask me questions. I'm like, I'm not qualified to answer. I don't even know how to.
Right.
However, where I come in, I educate the community about frills and what we do.
Right.
So I often am a point of contact with different organizations.
Right.
So we work in tandem with a lot of organizations. I speak for Palm Beach County, where organizations can send referrals over to us, or maybe we'll work in tandem on a workshop or a presentation.
Right.
So I usually conduct the presentations, I coordinate the workshops, and I just go out in the community and share the word about frills.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you ever go to court or watch court or anything?
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure you get involved.
It's a funny story. The first time I had never been to the courthouse in West Palm Beach.
Oh, it's huge.
It is
huge.
Gosh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. And the first time I went, I foolishly brought my bag. So it was a large, tote bag.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh my goodness. So of course you have to pass through the metal detectors and everything. And security.
And you didn't get through.
I did not get through. Security's looking at me like, why would you bring this bag? I was like, I don't know. So I had to compare it to, at some hospitals, it's better to bring a smaller bag.
Right.
That's my field. That's my area.
Well, what did you do? Don't they have a locker or something that you can put it in?
I'm trying to remember if they did. Honestly, I was with a lawyer at the time, and he was like, you know what, I'll just run to the car and take your bag. And he took the bag to the car, and then I was able to enter.
Right.
But yeah, it's really fun being able to go to different spaces and different areas and meet new people, including the courthouse.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up a minute on the housing situation.
Sure,
I know in my business, if you will, affordable housing, people are having so much trouble being able to live, to find anything that is habitable, that is within their income range. Is it the same in Palm Beach County?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now do you network with other agencies? Obviously people come to you and say, oh my gosh, I'm paying rent, I'm up to date, but there's rats everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to help me with the infestation. Obviously, that's a legal issue, and you go to court, etc.
Yeah.
But what about the person that comes in and just says, "Okay, I know I'm going to be evicted. It's awful, but I don't know where I'm going to go. Do you network or what with other agencies so you can at least send them to people so they can get housing and things?
Yeah, absolutely. So we try our best to connect with as many organizations as possible.
Right.
Because the reality is there are certain issues that people come to us with where we don't have those services.
Right.
Like as a law firm, we can't provide housing, or there's certain situations that we can't provide. So that's where it's really great where we have those relationships with other organizations who can provide housing, or whether it's a shelter, or even with our domestic violence cases. If there's a particular domestic violence shelter where our client can seek refuge, that's where our partnerships come in. So we absolutely do.
So you do injunctions for protection as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I know there's so many things. Now, in that arena, family, etc.
Yes.
Because I get these phone calls all the time, and I want to be able to say, I don't know what to tell you, because you're either going to have to find somebody that's going to represent you for free, or you're out of luck. But you do you do divorces, Mikayla?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Depending on the situation, a lot of times if it involves domestic violence, then absolutely we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about child custody?
Yes. So also, again, depending on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what would qualify, for example?
It really depends on when they do the intake. So intake, they're the ones that really have a lot of the qualifications.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know all of them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But you do. Yeah. If someone needs a divorce, can't afford to hire a lawyer, particularly if they've been a victim of domestic violence.
Yes,
you're gonna help them.
Yes,
you're
absolutely. And I always tell people, it doesn't hurt to give us a call.
Right.
And we have a VOCA grant, Victim of Crime Act, where we are able to specifically help those who are survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, or even human trafficking.
Well, I was going to get to that.
Yes.
So you do So you do that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Now, when you call FRLS.
Or frills.
Yeah,
that's
frills.
What we call them.
Okay, which it is frills. Let me tell you, that's the way I look at it. The recording, if you will, talks about migrant workers.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is actually the area of our Immokalee office.
Okay.
So they're the ones who really spearhead the farm working programs.
Oh. Yeah,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So I will say that's actually how we started. That's how our organization started.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back in the 60s, I believe it was during the Johnson administration, it started as a South Florida migrant program.
Right.
And it was so successful that they expanded to what we know now as frills. But they really wanted to focus on a vulnerable population, farm workers, to make sure they're not being taken advantage of.
Well, that's what, What do you do for them?
Yes.
Yeah.
So depending on housing, we make sure that they receive fair housing.
Okay.
We make sure that if there's any, I would say with their work, like employee benefits, to make sure that everything that's happening employee-wise is legal.
Okay.
Yeah. And we used to do a lot more, I would say, immigration services, but not so much now. However,
well, you'd have to shut your doors because that's all you'd be able to do probably with everything going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
So you don't do immigration.
Now, as of right now, no, but it depends on the situation. So if the individual is a citizen or if they have certain legal documents, depending on their questions or their concerns, yes.
Well, because we are hearing that people, because they don't have their papers on them, are getting arrested.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, can you imagine if you were poor and didn't have the money to hire a lawyer?
Or the means, absolutely.
You know, so they can call you. That's not, you'd be flooded, so you're backing down a little bit on that. But depending on the facts, you would consider helping someone. Okay.
Yeah.
Now. And are the migrant workers, are there still cases where they're taken advantage of? And
Yeah, I can assume so, honestly.
Yeah.
That's more of, I know the Immokalee office, they really spearhead everything. But you just hear certain stories of people that are being taken advantage of, especially now in this climate.
Right.
So our goal is to combat that any way that we can.
Right,
So,
which thank goodness. Goodness. Okay, so what else? We've talked about housing, Social Security benefits, all of those things, family law. What about custody and like paternity, those kinds of things? You do that too?
Yes, that falls under family.
Okay, okay, wow. And the migrant workers, now what else? I know there's more.
I will say we also have consumer finance.
Okay, tell me about that. That's the other thing. I knew I was missing a big area. Go ahead.
So this area, it's a little more exciting for me because this is the area where we're seeing more workshops being done, at least for the West Palm office. So we know that a lot of individuals, depending on their questions, it may not be everyone who qualifies for our services, but everyone can come to an educational workshop. And they can learn more about, debt collectors and garnishments. So we have a fantastic attorney. His name is Anton Smith. He works in the West Palm Beach office, and he is our consumer finance attorney at our office. So he really leads the charge when it comes to all things consumer finance, especially with the workshops as well.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And I hadn't thought about garnishment and those things. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes judgments are issued and things happen, and they're illegal. They can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really like to focus on prevention as well. It kind of goes back to my background in public health.
Right.
We always say prevention is key. So before they even need to get to a stage where they need our services, if we can provide a workshop that provides them information with what's legal, what's not legal, or there's a debt collector calling me at 10 p.m. Can they do that? Right? So we let them know.
What do you do? I mean, they can't do that, right?
Right.
Okay, good. Thank
Not
God.
only is it inconvenient, but there are certain things that are truly illegal. They should not be doing.
Right.
But unfortunately, some people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So if we can provide that education where we can, it's so beneficial to the community.
So what you're saying, Mikayla, is, I think, is that not only do you provide legal services in that arena, but you do outreach to the communities and provide seminars and things.
Yes.
Now, if someone in the future, I mean, they see this show, they realize all the things you offer. Where do they go to find out? Do you all have a website? Like if you're offering a consumer fraud, seminar, conference, or whatever, is that on your website?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So our marketing team does a great job of keeping a calendar up to date.
Okay.
So we have a calendar that shows all of our events.
Okay.
We do everything from presentations to tabling. So you'll see me a lot of times with my table and my spread of everything. So yes, that calendar, it does provide information of where we'll be through all 13 counties that we do cover, all 6 offices.
Okay, so that would include St. Lucie, Martin. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
Great.
Yes.
And what website is that? Do you know?
So it's www.frls.org.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Yes,
okay.
very simple.
Okay.
Or you can even Google Florida Rural Legal Services, and it'll be the first
and it'll
thing.
come up. And again, the conferences, whatever, seminars that you do for the community are not just in Palm Beach, they're in our area as well, in the Lakeland and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
It's really up to the outreach coordinators and then the regional managing attorneys.
No, I got it.
And then they'll just decide what they want to do. And we cover workshops on all of our areas of law. So it's not just one thing in particular. If there's an organization that requests a certain presentation, then we meet that request.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good to know. That's that's good to know for our attorneys too, because they need to be aware. And on that note, because it affects our clients as well. Of course, everything you talked about, I mean, poverty and low income, all of these things, criminal behavior, housing issues, all of that kind of it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And we all work together. We've been to, were you at the, do you go to the big networking conference that is held every year in our...
Is it called the Bench Bar?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, that's it.
I recognize the name. I have not been, though. I haven't been.
Well, that's something that you all put on for the judges, the lawyers, everything, to bring awareness to the community, to the lawyers, to the judges, because the judges need to know. Sometimes, I mean, they can help people too. I mean, they have to judge and make decisions and all of that, but to be able for a judge to know what services you have to offer, and as once the case is over, to say you may want to contact. That's a great thing. That's why the awareness of your agency is so important. And I try so hard on this show to make sure that what we present is obviously interesting, and it is, but also to provide the information to the community so that they know what's out there. Because
Absolutely.
if you're poor, you know, you're not going to have a big fancy computer to Google and say, where do I go, whatever. But you may be able to see a show or to,
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of, I would say, just this position.
What you do.
Yeah. We are very intentional with meeting the community where they are.
Right.
Because things we take for granted, you know, you might not, the person might not have a car. So transportation in itself is an incredible barrier that we're able to break down if we can meet them where they are.
Right.
There are some times where we'll hold legal clinics. We used to do some at libraries where if the person can come to the library, we'll meet them right there. And we'll talk to them, the attorney will speak with them, and if it's something we can take on as a case, we'll do an intake right then and there and start the process.
What I started to say, and then I got off track, something that kind of is coordinated, if you will, with our office as well. You don't do any criminal, I get that.
Right.
But you can help with license reinstatements too, can't you?
I know there's been a couple of shifts that have been happening in terms of the driver's license.
Oh, it has there?
Yes, so I'm not exactly sure. I know at one point we did.
Right.
But I will have to check, because I feel like there was an update with that at some point.
Okay. But if someone's having an issue with their license getting reinstated and they don't know what to do, and obviously that's not what we do, they should call, because maybe you can help them or direct them or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what have I missed?
My goodness.
Is there another area that we didn't talk? I think that I'm trying to think of the
I can say education.
Okay, let's talk about it.
We cover education.
We definitely should talk on this show about it.
So a lot of people, they do come in when they see that we cover education law. They wonder what type of education. So for this, we really focus on children and students.
Right.
So if there's a child who is in need of an IEP or
What's
a 504, so an individualized education plan or program, I believe, plan or program. So these are for children who need a little bit of help in the area of, or accommodations, I would say. They need some accommodations. So it could be for students who might have a learning disability, or for students a physical disability. Yes, ma'am. I know for me in school, I always struggled with time. If it wasn't a timed exam, I'm good. But the minute it's a timed exam, I'm out the game. So some students, they just might need that little time accommodation. Right. So we could provide that.
I got
yes,
you.
ma'am.
Because you have to petition the school to get
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
And if you're I know I have a friend, and you're not going to believe this, Mikayla. We've got about a minute left to wrap it up. I know it goes so fast.
It does.
That has a child that's
ADHD, yes.
And she gets special accommodations with timing on tests or whatever, but it was a process.
Yes.
So you can help with that.
That is exactly where we step in. Absolutely. And some students, they might need an aide to be with them to, either help them stay on track or just keep them accountable with their work. Just have an aide right there next to them in class. So with those accommodations or that IEP, it allows the student to really learn in their own way.
Despite whatever physical or and I'm sure this applies to children with mental disabilities.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are out of time, and you have been wonderful. And
thank you.
We need your energy every time on the show. Believe me, I wish I could just wrap you up and bring you every show. Thank you, Mikayla.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me. This is great.
And great luck with what you do.
Thank you.